Okay, we're back. We're back with some big cats. A couple of king tigers that we were working on yesterday. And we got just about all the black lining done on this one. I'm going to go ahead and move to the other one. The one with the Panzerführer on it. Let's de-jewelrify. And it'll get out the Nuln oil. A little earlier than I normally get on here, but see if we can't knock this thing out. Like doing the hull first. And it just, you need something like this to get these details to pop out. Man, I gotta go check the air. What the hell's the air set to? I'm freezing. That's a good problem to have. I'm only freezing because I'm under the vent. And I'm not moving around. Okay. Oh, good. That made somebody come in. So I will reiterate again that there will not be any painting shows this weekend. Because well, I don't have to. I chose to go to our biannual convention here in Florida. And that's where I'll be. Hopefully. And I have no intention of buying anything unless something is just, too inexpensive. Something I can't leave there for somebody else. I don't mind buying stuff now. I'm kicking a living shit out of it. We're knocking stuff out. This has a fair amount of detail for a basic model, but you gotta do stuff to make these details pop out. I had dinner, and as soon as I have dinner, I started falling asleep. It's like, well, we'll have to have some coffee. Not going to be falling asleep at 7 o'clock at night. Okay, we'll do the same one on this side over here. What's up, Justin? You off work already? Happy yo-yo to you too. Justin, what is it that you do again? You do Flames of War, right? You do Flames of War, but you're using your own, you're making your own rules. I think that's what you said. Are you using any little bit of Flames of War as the base, and you just basically making a better Flames of War game? And is Flames of War your first historical war game? Saw today somebody was posting on a convention website that they were planning on bringing Flames War, your own rules, okay. That they were planning on bringing all their Flames of War stuff to sell to get rid of. Because they wanted to get into bolt action. Now, I've never played bolt action before, but I've seen it. I've played Flames of War a few times. And I can tell you that I would rather play Flames of War than bolt action. Flames of War is kind of like its own game, right? I mean, I get why they're doing it. They made the rules so they could sell minute models. And their models are honestly pretty nice. I like them. It's just in a scale I don't play in. But that's okay. It just 15 millimeter really wasn't available for World War II when I started playing doing World War II stuff. That's why I don't do 15 millimeter. But you could fix Flames of War and be okay. One of my biggest gripes about Flames of War is it's supposed to be 1-to-1. It does not feel like a 1-to-1 scale game at all. It feels like it'd be like rapid fire, 1-to-5. Napoleon was first. Yeah, it feels like it's rapid fire. It feels like it's 1-to-5 scale. And there's nothing wrong with that. I've played many of 1-to-5 scale games, and I can tolerate less detail in a 1-to-5 scale game than I can in a 1-to-1 game. I've played many games of Command Decision. It's all 1-to-5 scale. Started out with Warhammer. I've never played Warhammer. I was already of. Well, hell, I played historical stuff when I was a kid, when I was 16 years old. I remember I had the old Warhammer 40K book that came, like too nice to use. It was about this thick. I think it was about that thick. And it had those pages that would rip out by accident. The binding wasn't good on it. I remember looking at it and going, where do I start? How do I start reading these rules? I just never got into it. And I just don't like models that are this big that only shoot this far. Like, what are you equipped with? A throwing knife? You know? It just there's too much of a discrepancy between ground scale and figure scale for me. Well, what I like about Flames of War is their website. Their website's superb. They really do a good job. They do a whole lot of they put a lot of historical effort and background information on their website that I just don't see apparent in their rule set. But hey, do whatever you want to do. I think I would play Flames of War before I'd play Bolt Action though. Somebody was telling me the details of the tanks in Bolt Action's pretty weak. There he is, the Jeffrey Man. You played first edition Flames of War using Type 1 Airfix HO/OO. I play fourth and Team Yankee in 6 mil. Do you change the ranges or do you use centimeters instead of inches? Is it an inch game? That's got to be weird. Have a game that, America doesn't like the metric system, okay? I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I like it. I don't like partitions of an inch. I think partitions of an inch are stupid. I can maybe get away with a half inch. Once you start getting to quarters and 3/64ths and 7/8, and it's just moronic. Okay, I don't like it. But anyways, but I think that I think it would be. Is it easier? Well, I don't know. Is it easier for Americans to use the metric system in playing a game like that, or is it easier for Europeans to use inches? I don't know. I think it's been a long time since I've used inches in Europe, and not necessarily Britain. Britain, I think you told me that you did both in school. I remember learning the metric system in school. I said my biggest problem with the metric system is, well, I don't like temperature at all. Forget it. Just piss that off. Okay, I don't care about temperature. But I think my problem with the metric system is that in the imperial system, your core unit is the foot, and the foot's about this big. That's a great size to have the core unit. Something that's 39 inches long is too big to be your core size. So when you start describing things that are about this long in metric, you use millimeters, which is a really huge. You end up using a really big number. So you have this perception of like, oh, that's really big. Unless I can put it into the size of like calibers of weapons. Then I'm like, oh, okay. I know what 75 millimeters is. That kind of stuff. I know what 88 millimeter is. And kilometers, I got no problem with kilometers. I like meters as this. That's what I play in. I actually play in meters. I don't play in yards or feet or something like that. I play in meters. You tend to use the rules as printed. Ranges seem to be more realistic. There you go. Yeah, because like tanks can shoot up to like 48 inches or something like that. So if they're a micro armor, they're like, they're the right distance. It doesn't feel like a 1-to-1 skill game to me, though. When you have a 1-to-1 skill game, I think that it needs to have certain details that aren't prevalent in a game that says, okay, everything up here is a front, everything back here is a flank. It just doesn't seem right to me. It needs to be a little bit more specific for my liking. But somebody was asking me, did I ever think about playing any of Phil Barker's World War II games or his battleships? Damn battleships again. I said, hell no. Having a Pack 40 helps too. It's the first model I ever built 1/35th scale. Blitzkrieg Commander. That's 1-to-5, isn't it? The command decision, the rapid fire scale. I like 1-to-5. I look at 3 tanks and go, oh, look, a company. It just kind of is natural. You have 6 Pack 40s. I have 3, I think. Ask me how many I got painted. None. There's infantry involved in that. We'll get there. I think forcing myself to build for this scenario that involves just a few vehicles. I've played the infantry rules and I really like them. I haven't played the vehicles at all. I just don't think I'm not going to like them. I can still remember when our currency was base 12. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that your old currency was based. That's crazy. That's crazy. I'm not blaming you for it. You probably wouldn't have come up with it. I always thought what they should have done is they should have gone to engineering scale. They should have done decimal feet. Like use foot and then break down the foot in 10 increments. Engineering scale. That's the KFC 234s. Yeah. I've never gamed this period. I've never gamed this late ever. Somebody was making fun of me for painting King Tiger tanks. I'm like, look, I didn't paint a single King Tiger tank until I was 52 years old, almost 53. I don't like this late war stuff because it can't go anywhere. There's like it get yaboed to death. But we got some more Shermans a coming. Flames War Blitzkrieg Commander is similar in some respects. The bases represent the smallest playable unit section in Flames of War and platoon in Blitzkrieg Commander. Got my stomach telling me I'm still hungry. And I'm just kind of doing these just to do them, you know. Although having two King Tigers isn't too crazy. Depends how many JS2s they face. I got 3 JS2s. I have a miniature Civil War cannons. I hate Civil War stuff. I don't like it. It doesn't offend me or anything. It's just a. I don't like playing Americans to begin with because I'm already American. So I like the role play a little bit. And now you're playing a war where both sides are Americans. And I don't like the uniforms. I don't like the time period. It's like neither here nor there. Everybody's got bad sideburns and bad facial hair, and they just look scruffy, you know? It just doesn't interest me. I don't really even like American history. And none of my ancestors. A lot of people I think are interested in the Civil War because they're like, my so and so was from this side of the family and they fought or whatever. My people hadn't come over here yet. We were still Europeans during the time of the Civil War. Shit, my people didn't come over to this country till 1960. But no, the reality is I just don't really like the period. It'd be like, you're not into the Crimean War? I'm not, you know? The sign for pound is still a stylized L for Libra. Currency at pound sterling made up 12 shillings, each shilling 12 pennies, based on the old Roman counting system, livra, sesterci, denari. So denari is the cheapest one? Man, you gotta thank the Romans for all that stuff, or you'd be trading in furs and stuff. Good old Romans. I never played a war game with Romans until I played DBA. Scotland. So what happened if Scotland were to separate from the UK? LSD, not the drug, but British currency. Good evening, Jack. Jack, what part of the UK are you from? You're south of Scotland, no doubt, but pretty much everything's south of Scotland. Unless you live in the Orkneys. But technically that is Scotland, I guess. Well, we got some Brits coming. So get excited about that. That's going to be the... But I got decals coming for them as well. I want to do them right. So we're going to have... what would it be? 2 troops? 2 troops of mixed Fireflies and M4s. Does it bug you guys? I don't mean to be antagonistical with this at all. It's not your choice. Does it bug you guys that basically all the British used American tanks by 1944? I mean, you had some Cromwells and stuff in there, but does that bug you? I'm just curious. I don't like putting a white star on them, and not because they're not worthy or whatever. It's just like I just think that they should have their own symbol, which they did in Italy. They put roundels and stuff back here on top of the turret. Not all the time, but so my Brits for Northwest Europe are not going to have white stars on them. I just don't think it looks appropriate. You're from East Yorkshire. Okay, so between here and there, the Orcadians don't think so. They still celebrate their Norse roots. It's all fun and games until it's your town being raided. I know lots of people are proud of their Viking ancestry. I've never really thought about it, but if I have to, I don't think I like the Vikings very much. And here's the reason why. Because they destroy shit. And I don't like people that come in and conquer folks and destroy shit. Like I'm kind of miffed that my ancestors came over to the New World. And, I don't mind that they, butchered all the people that were butchering each other. I just mind that they destroyed all their temples. There's some cool shit that was here. They could have just, kept it like, put it, cordoned it off. Like, you see that? That's like the devil worshippers and shit. And we're gonna keep that up so you guys can see what it looks. I don't like just destroying things like civilization, like ISIS and stuff that was blowing up crap and stuff. I just don't. I don't like people that burn down libraries and shit like that. You know. You bought your Hasegawa medical ship today. Excellent. Is it going to dwarf Godzilla? So I don't like anything that brings about like a dark age. Like the first Chinese emperor, he takes and is like, I don't like what people are writing about me, so I'm going to take everybody, I'm going to bury them into the fucking wall and burn all the books. Like, not cool. You know? It's pretty big. Godzilla, you say, is 150 meters, so he's 400 feet long. So he's about as long as a destroyer. Or so, a big destroyer. He's about as tall as a big destroyer. Right? You did say 150 meters. Yes, I was thinking that's like a 15-story building. 150 meters, 450 feet. No, that's a 45-story building. Drink. 50 meters. U.S. tanks were better for the times. Ours were slow cruiser tanks, World War One technology. Well, I'll tell you what. I love me some Crusaders. I love A-13s. Honeys are okay. I'll tell you what I think about Shermans. I think Shermans were a good tank. And I think that they are a good opportunity to make them look cool. Because a lot of people just slap paint on them and go, here you go. And then you're like, how can you get excited about something that you didn't put any effort in? But if you look actual pictures of Shermans, they have all kinds of different appearances and stuff like that. I mean, sure, they're not sexy looking, but then I started looking at it, and like anytime I post any pictures of German vehicles, people go gaga. And it's like, I think here's the reason. It's the paint schemes. It's the paint schemes that they had all these, and you can get Shermans and stuff like that have interesting paint schemes, but you're talking about Italy or Alamein when they got the big swaths and stuff on there. Shermans were like the best freaking tank in North Africa. Of course, they didn't show up until a little bit before Gazala, and of course, I consider Tunisia different than Africa. There's just different things going on there. The environment was different. The mixture of forces were different. You could see tigers and shit like that, but and one thing about a Sherman that people discount is a lot of them had a 50 caliber machine gun. And you think, what's a... Well, that is something else that you can use to shoot up things that you don't have to fire a 75 millimeter HE at. Okay? Like, sure, you got 30 cals on there, but it's like, you got guys that are bothering you in a building and you don't have time to load an HE round. Or maybe you want to keep AP in the chamber, right? And, okay, Jeffrey, take it easy, man. So you open up with a 50. And the 50 caliber machine gun is not great from the standpoint of rate of fire. That's not what it's about. It's basically negating your cover bonus in a building. Like, we'll just hunker behind this building because we'll be safe and protected by the building. Not if the bullets go right through the freaking wood. And now you got holes in you that are full of splinters, or light vehicles or something like that. Light, so I like the British cruisers in the desert. I'd say in the desert, the British tanks are more interesting than the German ones. Back, you should play Erica's song while painting the miniatures. English, Erica song. Well, I can't. You can't play music on this, or it'll be you got copyright issues. Erica song. Who's the Erica song by? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm real easy with food, meaning there's lots of different food that I like. I am not that way about music. I dislike most music. What do you mean? Dude, there's stuff out there I don't like. There's just really bad. There's just stuff that just, I don't connect with it. Hey, I'm just saying. Smells is the other thing I have a problem with. Like cologne and stuff, perfume, like, maybe something you want to get your girlfriend or your wife perfume. This guy has a terrible time. I dislike almost everything. It's an old German song from World War II. We better not. We better not play any German songs from World War II. You know what I'm saying? Sends the wrong message. Wearaboo Central. How about that catchy song from Cross of Iron? Just even mentioning that means it's going to be stuck in my head. It's like a German nursery rhyme or something like that. In modern times, relatively the old Ark Royal, not the jump version, the fighter of choice was the F4 Phantom. The new carriers have F-35s. Yeah, I hate how everything is generic. I hate how everybody's like got F-35s. Everybody's got, you know. I like it when everybody had their own things. As a modeler, like the Chieftain. The Chieftain is a kick-ass freaking tank. It looks cool as shit. You know. The old, yeah, not the original Ark Royal. I guess there was two Ark Royals after the one that sunk by the U-boat. I'm going to be trying to find some 700 M24 Chafies. Were those late war or did they come after World War II? They started appearing about September 44. And they used them. I want to say they started phasing them out after Korea. So if you're looking for tanks for your Godzilla, Chaffee's probably not a bad choice. Yep. Okay, now on to the turret here. Just to make these little details pop. One 700 scale tape. Those are pretty small. You gonna use that Godzilla for a game or for like a diorama? Man, my stomach is just like gurgling. You'd think I'd be about to shit my pants. M24s were the first black and white Godzilla movie. Yeah, 700 scale tanks are teeny tiny. Yep. Yeah, there's still probably several companies that makes them. There was a company back in the 80s. Well, the models actually were probably from the 70s, and there's called something like Skyway or something like that. And it's all 1/700 scale stuff, along with Aoshima may make some in Hasegawa as well, like dockyard stuff and things like that. So some of that, you know, Godzilla attacking a dockyard or something. Not going to paint your Godzilla in black and white, are you? There's a guy way back when on the miniatures page. He had posted some World War II pictures where he had painted his figures in grays and blacks and so they painted them like a black and white, thing. Soldiers like, and it was a lot of effort. It's not like it was a shitty job. It just kind of like, it's just kind of a waste. It's like, it's like making Schindler's List and then doing it in black and white. It just kind of loses the attention it could have if it was in color. But he did a hell of a job. My first Godzilla figure, I did a monochrome color scheme. Skytrex was the name. Yeah, I still have some Skytrex. The decals I got ended up being from Skytrex, but I think they got bought up by Warlord, right? And I think that whole big group of T-34s that I have are Skytrex T-34s. I got many more to paint. I think when I go back to my T-34s, the 76 barreled ones, we're going to do some camouflaged ones. We're going to do 3 or 4 of them in camo. So somebody was posting the other day about, the most common tank of World War II, and they said, well, they made T-34s more than anything else. And then I'm like, okay, but how many survived the war? Like, how many T-34s were lost? And I saw one time they made like almost 50,000. And I saw somewhere they'd lost like 44,000 of them or something like that. Well, that still leaves you with about 8. That's a hell of a lot more than the Germans had at the end of the war. But who knows? Who knows? Some of those numbers are just with the obfuscation that went on the Eastern Front. Between the Germans potentially adjusting, how many things they knocked out that seemed like supermen, and the Soviets covering them up so Stalin wouldn't send them on a one-way trip to Siberia. It's kind of hard to pinpoint some things. My problem with black and white miniatures, they don't match anything around them. Yeah. I didn't really grow up with black and white TV, so I don't really embrace it. I don't like it at all, and maybe it's a function of me being nearsighted almost my whole life. So part of nearsightedness is that you don't see what's really happening. What you're seeing is a different reality. So then, I don't know if I don't want to see it in black and white because I'm not seeing all the colors. And sure, everybody sees it in black and white. Well, the people that are acting it out, and when it was filmed, it wasn't in black and white. I don't know. I just feel like I'm missing something. If I'm going to watch a World War II movie, I want it to be in color because I can always watch real newsreels if I'm okay with watching black and white stuff. Tony, you are painting a shed load of armored vehicles, which is superb. Will you put them on the gaming table? Not all at once. No, I actually, I grabbed my rules the other day, and it's a set of rules called the Face of Battle, and it's extremely anal retentive set of rules. And I decided, I better learn how to play this game with miniatures. So I decided to go ahead and build the stuff for a particular scenario, which I had all the Panthers for. I had no idea. And it's this scenario, we talked about it the other day. Battle of Longuevray. And it has 6 Panthers, not all at once, some come on the board, versus a squadron of the 4-7 Dragoon Guards, which is the 8th Tank Brigade. It's got like a little wolf or a badger symbol, something like that on a yellow background. I went and I'm like, okay, who are these guys? I had to find out what unit they were a part of. I found out they were 8th Brigade. They helped the 50th Infantry Division. They supported them. They landed on Gold Beach. Landed at Gold Beach from the get-go on day one. So, and it's basically 4 Shermans, one of them being a Firefly. And they're here. The Firefly's here. The 2 Shermans are there, and then 1 Sherman's way the fuck over here. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Who's the commander of that guy? F3. Lance Corporal. Doesn't say what his name is. Sergeant Harris is the commander in the Firefly. Sergeant Harris, I wonder if he has a drinking problem. Like Richard Harris. For glue, I just have a bottle of super glue. Should I get something different for my ship? I think this is the best stuff right here. The Tamiya Extra Thin Cement, because of this applicator. It is so precise. And I actually bought 2 of these, and I emptied one of them. I transferred onto it another one, and because I like to use my California glue, which is from Microscale. It smells like orange peel. You don't want to drink it. I'm sure it's toxic as well. But anyways, any one of those 2. I like the weld cement. And this allows you to put very little for each one. I actually don't like super glue at all. Because it's like you have no time to adjust it. It's like sometimes like, man, it won't glue, it won't glue. Oh fuck, it's glued. I can't move it. You know, it's like not very user friendly. So, anyways, I'm just doing all these tanks because I had them, and I enjoy doing them. And I've done only figures for 18 years. Tamiya Extra Thin Cement. Yes, that's the one. Yep. And they probably carry it at Hobby Lobby. You want to smell whatever cement you use because you may not be able to stand the smell. Some people swear by. Remember the old testers that used to come in a square bottle like that? That one smelled all right. When they're reformulated, this smells like this smells horrible. Basically, anything that this company touched and bought over, Rust-Oleum went to shit. Basically, I don't like what they discontinued products that I like, and they added products that I don't like. They changed the smell on this stuff that, I'm not sitting there interested in huffing it. It just smells super, super uber toxic. The best smelling stuff is the micro scale stuff, but which I found that out about because they had it at the hobby store way back when, and we just it came like this, which is real easy to spill, but you just use your own paintbrush. It doesn't mess anything up. So, but the Tamiya one, because that applicator is incredible. Yeah, weld cement. So you basically have a model that's like 50 pieces, and when you're done, it's all one piece because it's all welded together. I hated that as a kid. Kid being like 9 or 10 years old. It's like, man, this guy takes forever for this stuff to dry. Because kids are impatient. Back when I was a mere snotling, a wee snotling. Superglue is fine for metal. Plastic glue by Tamiya. Revell is. Yeah, I've never seen the Revell stuff. They had this other one at Hobby Lobby called Mr. Hobby. Oh, it smells super toxic. You just have to smell it to see if it's something you can put up with. Because there's different levels of pungency. Like, for instance, you've got, and it's not necessarily like, oh, I want to huff this stuff. If you want to get high, if you want to get, if you want to go on a trip, go have some tequila. They have that in Texas. They probably have some at home. But I'm just saying some things just taste, some things just smell really poisonous. So just open it up and see if you can handle the smell of it. The old standard Tester's glue, it smelled fine, but there's like a difference between, things that taste like I don't like the smell of vinegar, okay? But vinegar smells a hell of a lot better than dog shit, okay? So I don't like the smell of dog shit at all, so you just have to understand, can you handle that? How about tweezers? Any other tools you might think? Tweezers come in real handy, but you got to get ones that come to a fine point. And I got these hand me down from my dad in the mid '80s, and I'm like, you can barely make it out. They said they're made in Switzerland, so I'm like, oh, let's see what Swiss tweezers go for these days. Wow, like $50 fucking for no. So just make sure that they come to a fine point, not crappy ones like this. That are not used for much other than taking the blue stuff and putting it into hot water. They're just not very precise. If you get some tweezers that have, they make some plastic tweezers that have little rubber tips at the end, and that allows you to grab some small things, and the rubber allows you to get a better purchase on it, so it doesn't go flying, And then readers. I always did everything in 20/20 vision until I turned about 40, we'll call it 45. And then I'm like, man, there's a lot of glare on this thing. And then I realized, shit, I'm old and I can't fucking see things up close. Damn it! Which really sucks for somebody who's always been nearsighted. Because you're like, the idea that you can't see something because you're too close to it is really a mind screw for somebody who's been nearsighted their whole life. But it's not that annoying. It's more annoying to wearing glasses to drive, which I don't. I wear contacts, so, and I don't need to wear readers for contacts. That for driving, that would be, you're a little too close to this, to the display in the car for that case. Yeah, see what they have at like Hobby Lobby or a hobby store, somewhere where you can buy something, you change your mind, you don't really need it, you can return it, get your money. You know, can't see shit far away. I know. Well, so what I started doing, I always did everything in 20/20 vision. Well, I put my contacts in and I just worked with my contacts, right? And so I had this idea that I'm like, well, what if I just don't put my contacts in? And I have like a built-in plus 6.0 loop all the time because I'm nearsighted. Oh, the wife's here. Let me go see if she needs anything. Be right back. Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, so I just started doing stuff without my contacts, and I don't know that my work quality has gotten better, but I appreciate all the nooks and crannies that are on the model or miniature more. Like I get to enjoy the stuff of them. I don't know. It just seems more personal. Oh, we can't use these. These are, so this is what I wear all the time. Unfortunately, I don't even know. I need readers to see what they are. They're like 1.25 or something. They're like really really minimum, but I need them for work and stuff to like read stuff on the computer. So I got multiple pairs of these everywhere. I got some in my back of my bag that I carry with me all the time. Just like an old person, right? And these are, I got these off Amazon. They're incredible because you buy some stuff and it's garbage. This particular brand is really really good. I've never broken one. So, and I've used them for a while. This is a Walgreens special. This is a who's this made by? The people that make all kinds of stuff. Foster Grant. But this was as strong as you could make. I could find, which is a plus 325. But I got twice as much magnification if I just take my contacts out. So, is that Irish coffee I'm drinking? It is not, Darren. No, I need to drink at work, not here. It's not. It's regular coffee. Because old people like me like to fall asleep around after they have dinner. The old Airfix glue from many years ago was a nightmare. The compulsory trail of glue over the model. Yeah, testers used to make that stuff too. Yeah. What's worse than that is the old brushes we used to have. Remember, you get those brush start set, and not only were they nylon brushes, but they're shaped like this. It's like there's no way you could get any precision thing. And they'd show you something like that'd be really nicely painted on the cover, and you're like, I can't do it. Yeah, you can't do it with those tools. Yeah, but things have come a long way. Epoxy, okay? Epoxy in the 80s used to suck. You'd come in that one tube and it just wouldn't set right and everything. And epoxy now is incredible. I swear by 5-minute epoxy. But I don't get a syringe that you squeeze them both out. I have 2 individual tubes. Now this vehicle actually did not have this extra track on it. I had to make this out of green stuff. Out of a blue stuff mold. I didn't realize there was a thing. It was called blue stuff, but it is blue stuff. This Oyonemaru Hakadaka, whatever it's called. What did it say? It was Hindo de Washi. I keep wanting to call it Hindo de Washi Washi. Hindo de Washi Oyumaru. Yeah, made in Japan. I'm with you on that. Yep, I know what you're talking about. I sent that thing out, by the way, so I should hear back from him tomorrow. Okay, so anything else that we need to put on here detail wise so this thing pops at a distance? And at some point I'm going to have to paint a new Panzerführer. I've got the 3 or 4 of them that I keep reusing. All I've done is painted figures for 18 years. I need a break of it. And it's not that they don't turn out well. I mean, I was watching some video the other day or a couple months ago. It's one of those 2 Eastern European guys that I get mixed up. I forget what the hell they're called. One of them is those brilliant folks that do those models on 1/35th scale. Night Shift or the other guy. And they were all concerned about painting figures. And I'm like, dude, man, figures are easy. And sure enough, they did their own figure, and it was really well. All they got to do is, they were just concerned about, because they'd never done it before. Apprehension. But this model is a piece of garbage. I even did an unboxing video on it, and I basically discouraged anybody from buying this. The glue wouldn't work. The weld cement would not work on this model. I ended up having to super glue it and epoxy it to put it together. It fit together okay. It wasn't a fit issue. It was almost like it was, instead of normal plastic, whatever plastic is normally made out of, it was made out of, melted down Kewpie dolls or something like that had more elasticity to it or something like that, and it just was a formula that just wouldn't melt. And I found that really annoying. That, and it was missing a lot of really critical details on the King Tiger, like these little loops for the roof. So we had to build those up, which is probably the most anal retentive thing I've ever done on any model. And it still looks kind of barren with nothing back here. Let's put the Panzerführer on there. Doesn't look too bad. But I think the nearsightedness keeps me from making it look like crap up close and okay at a distance. I have to do both. I have to do both because it's not about fooling anybody. I have to fall for it also. You know, because I'm gonna see that it looks like crap if I look at it too close. So and I don't do this black lining here in the running gear because there's so much dust and crap that would be in there that you wouldn't be able to see it. So we've got a couple of mufflers to do. We've got the bow machine gun on both of them to do. And yeah, that's what we're going to go next. Do I wash my models? So on this one I did. I've just started doing that. You know, when you're a kid, you don't do stuff like that. The first thing you're building a plane, the very first thing they want you to do is paint the cockpit. You're a kid, you don't give a shit about a cockpit. You want to see a thing go together, you know? All right, Jack, thanks for stopping by, man. Be well. So, yeah, I've started doing that. And it didn't help in this thing. It's just a weird material. And all of the other Pegasus stuff that I built was okay. It's just these that are just. I have a feeling it's the first things they came out with. They're like, we want to make some tanks. Like, oh, let's make King Tigers. People go gaga over those big German things. What's up, Victor? And it's just they aren't very good. I mean, they look just fine now, but you got to put some TLC in them. Okay. Exhaust. All these German tanks were notorious for these tailpipes basically being all rusty and shit. So I like making my own rust color. We're going to use a light brown. They call it light brown, but I almost call that a light rust color. And some black. We're going to need that, and we're going to need a little bit of Blow Aid. Wetting drops for brushes, I like to call it. Just one drop. I bought this several years ago, and I'm down about a third. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to have to. I'll probably die before I use all this stuff up. Unless I have a spill. Just put some black over here. And some orange. And I really wish I had a small wet palette of this size. Although I don't really need it for this. But the regular wet palette is just too big. It just gets in the way. All right, let's find a brush that we have a little bit. It's not too small. That's too small. Okay. This is good. Yep. All right. A little bit of this. We're going to need more orange than that. All right, we're going to come over here. It's really weird painting on this that's clear. All this gets painted. You know what? I'm punting. Why am I doing that? Because I want to drill the outside of this a little bit. Put a little bit of a divot, so it gives her the impression that there's some depth to this tailpipe. So in doing so, we need a couple of things. We got an X-Acto knife, and this will be fine here. It's not like it's going to fall apart or anything. It's not going to dry out on me or whatever. let's get... Oh, I forgot I had that little Hetzer. I've got to do that little guy soon. Too big. Yeah, I didn't have these drill bits when I was a kid. Like, I'm not buying drill bits. I want to buy like a model of it, of something. You can't do shit with drill bits. That's about right. All right. I drilled out the hole in the mantlet of the Sherman last night. I didn't even put the drill bit inside the pin vise. That's how little effort it needed to go in there. All right. So let's do a starter hole. Let's get rid of that little guy, or he's gonna have problems. So we're gonna put a little starter hole in the center of this. And the same thing here. And the same thing here. Just a little place where you start getting a purchase. And same thing here. So why do I get these models if they aren't very good? Well, I had to use my credit at Noble Knight. That's why. That's the only reason. And once you get this going, then we can expand to a larger one. Not interested in it going very deep. Just needs to have a little bit of a divot in there. So when you paint that black, it gives the illusion that there's more to it than what's really going on there. And when you've worked with white metal things for decades, and then you go back to plastic models, it is a breeze. It is a breeze drilling everything that gives you no trouble at all. Instead of sitting there, you have to put so much force behind it, you end up breaking. That one's pretty big. Let's go down one size. That one. Oh, I forgot the one thing you're really supposed to buy. If you want. If you're going to do more models, buy this. It's a Tamiya cutter. It's incredible. It's incredible not using this, how unpleasant an experience it is. Yeah, unfortunately, they run about 24 bucks. But it's one of those things, if you're going to build models, the sooner you buy it, the more models you get to use it on before you croak. You know, and you get to use it on every model you build, right? Same thing with, a table to work on, any lighting that you use. You get to use it every single time you work on your hobby. You're going to be using that. It just becomes that much more of a value. Whoops. There's always fumbles. Not going very deep with this, just expanding it so it gives an optical delusion that there's more that meets the eye that's going on here. Want to walk on me. Tamiya, what they're called. See if they have them on here. I'll find which ones they are here. In my favorite Brazilian store, Amazon. Tamiya cutter. And I'll tell you which one it is, because they make a couple different ones. Yeah, it's this one right here. Tamiya sharp pointed side cutter. And of course, just like everything else, it now costs $29 instead of $24. Bastards. I didn't get it until about a year ago. And yeah, for the sprues. Okay, that's good enough. Now we'll go back to what we were doing. I had a cheap one that I bought from Hobby Lobby, and it's like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work well. It makes a big difference on the experience. So we're just going to cover this whole thing, because this whole thing's going to rust. And I'm actually going to take a look at a reference picture and make sure there's a little split here. Make sure the bottom of that I don't even look at books anymore. Almost, it's just too easy to go on here and go and just use the Google foo. So we're going to do king, tiger, exhaust, picture. Okay, and here it is. Oh, that's a model. That's not even painted yet. Okay. So everything's rusty up to that point. Because what happens is it gets painted. All right? So they paint it. This little Nazi guy comes and paints it. And then it gets blazing hot because it's an exhaust. And then the paint peels. And then the paint peels, and the paint actually protects it from the elements, especially if it's like an enamel paint, which it would be. But then the paint peels, now the metal doesn't have any protection. And it's thin metal, done all the elements, and hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. It all turns into a big orange mess. Okay, so that's the exhaust on that one. And we'll do the same thing on this one. So everybody's muffler is rusty. What else can I think of? I hope you enjoyed the experience of building a ship. You say it was a Tamiya model one? I've built two of them in 700 scale. Well, I did a bunch of the Airfix ones when I was a kid, which were 600 scale. So similar. I had a Scharnhorst and a Rodney that I did. Some of my favorite ships there. Oh, all right. Now we're going to add a little bit more of this light brown color. And highlight certain areas. I don't use the triad system. Although I'm basically creating my own triad when I do it. It's just easier to just make your own. I've just done it enough times that it's natural. All right, so then we do the same thing on the other one. And each layer that you put on, it actually takes quicker. It's quicker to do because you're putting less and less paint on it. Okay, so then we come back over to this, add a little bit more rustification. You want to leave the tip pretty dark. These vehicles were not environmentally friendly. Hasagawa kit? Okay. 82. I wouldn't mind building more, but some of these little pieces look like they will piss me off. Just take it one piece at a time. And think of it exactly like building a puzzle. Hopefully puzzles don't piss you off. You know? When you build a puzzle with your girlfriend, wife, whatever, by yourself, whatever it is that you're doing. I know you built a puzzle today. You probably haven't done one since you were about 10, but anyhow, don't put a time on it. Don't be like, man, I got to get done with this puzzle in an hour. Just you get done when you get done. And if you do that with models, then the experience is pleasurable. If you're like, man, I got to get this done by tonight, you're going to be sorely disappointed. It just creates more frustration. Unlike how I normally paint, where I don't use a whole lot of paint, there's actually quite a bit of paint on here, which basically means that some of this is actually blending with the color underneath. And that's not really important to me. It just happens to be what's happening. But these are one of those messy looking things that if it looks messy, it looks okay. Just don't get it all over the rest of your tank because it kind of defeats the purpose. Oh, we got a ubiquitous jack to paint down here too. So we got a couple detail things to do down here. Let's go up one level. Let's go up one level. Come on, give me some of that orange there. Yeah, we're gonna need a little more than that. There we go. You ubiquitous jack. That's what it sounds like. It's a cut down. Okay. Now, the thing you don't take into effect is people think that these super weapons were so awesome, but there's a couple things. They broke down all the time. They didn't have fuel. They get stuck in the mud. And most importantly, The quality of the German crew members that were in these things is not 1941 going into Russia. Kind of like the Japanese late war. The Japanese had some awesome pilots. In 1944, a lot of them were already dead. So you got noobs at the helm. Same thing with this. You might be an elite. It's an elite unit that has King Tigers. Okay. Well, you got some experienced commanders, and you got people that are part of the crew that were just kids and a few years ago. So they're only an elite unit because other people didn't get to use them. All right, let's plan all the black shit. And put a little bit more here in case I don't have enough. And by black shit, I mean the MG, even though we're going to dry brush some gunmetal on here. The ubiquitous jack. I don't like my jacks painted. I like my jacks like bare metal color because it adds another color to it. It's an opportunity to make it something else of interest down here. Okay, we've got these little clips that go in, which have something to do with tensioning the track. You take them off, and then when you have to switch the track out, you've got to put that on there to keep them the right distance from each other. Something that has something to do with that. They are on damn near every German track vehicle. Okay, and there's a little box here. It's basically what it is it's a little piece of wood that the jack sits on. So like let's say you need to use this jack, the tank up a little bit to be able to loosen the tension off of it. You don't want to just put it right in the mud. You want to put the block into the mud so it's got a bigger surface area. It doesn't sink straight in there. You spread out the weight of the tank, and then you put the jack on top of that. I'm going to use your live streams. I tend to stay more focused. Well, that's why I do them, so that I stay focused too. Feels good to knock shit out. And the thing is if you've never done your programming, you probably wouldn't know this, but if you guys don't tell me, hey, I'm here, I don't know who's here. I can kind of tell how many viewers there are, like there's 6 right now. I don't know who they are. Often it could just be you and like 6 fertile, pretty girls. It's not that. I don't think I've had a single female viewer. It's not that kind of show. But I don't know who it is. And, if you want to stay, if you want to stay quiet until I say the magic word nerd burglar, then I wouldn't know that you're there, Rick. And there's also like a delay too. So like I'll say something and maybe it's something you want to comment on it. So you type something, right? And it takes like 30 seconds, 45 seconds to make it to me. One is me. You came on, we're in the middle of painting. There you are. So there is a little bit of a delay by design, not my design, YouTube's design. And the reason they do that is because the way I understand it is some people have decided to put their lips around a double barreled shotgun and take their life on a live feed. So it allows enough time for the bots to go, nope, nope, nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. We're not allowed to show facials on here, you know. It has something to do with that. So there is a built-in delay. Whether I want there to be one or not. Again, not that kind of show. If you want to see me commit suicide, you came to the wrong place. Besides, I'm not committing suicide. I'm going to take some folks out. If we're going to go that route. And it won't be random people. It'll be people on my list. You know, the list that's here that everybody has. I'm just kidding. Have we ever talked about the game Bladestorm? I have not. What is it? Is it good? Is it fantasy? It sounds like it would be. There's a couple games that everyone, well, there's one game in particular that I've never played that everybody has something good to say about it. And that's Mordheim. Everybody likes Mordheim that's ever tried it. I've never tried it. I don't know. All I know is every time it gets mentioned, like, oh man, that's the best thing. You know? Never played it. I've never played a Games Workshop game other than Talisman. And where is it? It's up here somewhere. That what's that thing called? That old Milton Bradley thing. Battle Masters. I've played that in 30 years. Bladestorm looks like a seems like it'd be some kind of a Viking saga game or something. Okay, so that's all the black parts that are there that will end up getting a different treatment on them. This barrel's not black enough. It is on this end. It's not over here. I think this is the first barrel I've had to paint black. Usually it's coated in black. I grab it by it, and just by wearing it off, it has the right look to it. Okay. We're going to need that to dry a little bit, so let's go ahead and jump into the wood. That's going to be Mr. Beige Brown over here. There it is. 100 Years' War made by the Dynasty Warriors people. Koei or Koei or how do you say it? Koei! Oh, it's a video game. Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about. I want to try that one where you play the Bohemian Knight, whatever the hell it's called. And you have to like sword fight people, but it doesn't have next generation graphics. And that's the one thing about the human body that's a mother. Once you get, like when we moved over here, one of the things on my list was like, okay, I want to get a new Xbox One X, whatever, Series X, Excalibur, whatever the hell it's called, the new one. The new one that came out during COVID and nobody had it, and you know, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have a 4K TV because we got to get a new TV, right? Because it's on a huge wall. If you don't have a massive TV, I mean, even the massive TV looks, you know, like a normal size TV. The human body gets used to everything, so you get to use I was playing a game when I first got the TV, and I'm playing it in 4K. I'm like, holy crap, this looks good. Now I'm used to it. Now I can't go and play on the Xbox One in 1080p because it looks like shit. And it's laggy. I'm like, it sucks. So the more you can put off getting something revolutionary, the better off you are, because it basically makes everything look like crap. That's that's how we survived the Ice Age. We adapted. That's my theory, anyways. But you get used to it. Okay, this is the base color of the wood. This little wooden block thing. Now, if I dry brushed this with the ground colors in here, I wouldn't even bother painting this because it's just all going to look like the same thing. It's just going to get lost. So what I do is I actually paint these things after I do the dry brush so that they stand out. I'm not necessarily looking for this to look 100% realistic. I just want it to look like a graphic novel. I was going to say comic book, but there's some pretty shitty looking comic book, you know? I like things to look like crap. Oh man, the comebacks I could come up with that. I'm gonna leave that alone because I really wouldn't meet them. But don't say that to your wife. I don't want the new T. I don't want the new TV, honey. I'm perfectly fine with things looking like crap. Is that why you're still with me? Um, I am not a retro gamer. I did time with an Atari 2600. I'm not going to play it again. You love your VHS tapes. I like old music. That's it. That's where I'm going to leave it at. I don't like any of the other stuff. I think this has. I think this has a little bit of it showing. Sometimes you have to decipher what exactly is it that I'm looking at when you're painting some things, and sometimes you have to paint some things to eliminate. Yeah, that's the top of it. They can just slide that block in there. If it's sealed on both ends, how the hell do you get the thing out? Those old YouTube, if you look at old commercials on YouTube, is that what our TV was used to look like? She would ask that. She's got some pretty good comedic timing. Timing is everything. Does she watch Godzilla stuff too? My wife, well, she's out for a walk right now, so I don't have to say this. My wife is awesome, but she sucks to watch things with. Like she's terrible about watching television. Like she's very limited in her TV watching. She doesn't want to watch anything action or historical. God forbid anything historical. So the good news is it keeps me from watching television because I'm like, why am I going to watch TV by myself? I'd rather be doing this. So I've tried to talk her into watching other stuff. She won't watch, Black Mirror or anything. She just won't watch TV. She'll Hallmark movie. Well, I won't watch Hallmark movie. I don't have a thing for what's that? What's that girl that's in everything? Lacey Shaber or whatever that's in every single Hallmark movie. I'm like, now if I had a thing for her, I'd probably watch Hallmark movies. How do I know who she is? Because every time I turn in, it's like, what's that bitch doing? Oh, it's the same person again. Old TVs look like shit. Yeah. I don't know. Battle of Planets still looks good, doesn't it? I've never watched it in its original Japanese form. I probably should try finding it. I bet Kiop sounds weird in Japanese. He's not. Did they do that because he cussed or something like that? Because I could totally see that. I could totally see that. Like, we gotta do something about this guy. He got a potty mouth, you know? I did not think I was gonna say Kiop today when I woke up. My girlfriend doesn't watch Godzilla, but our movie likes a line outside of Godzilla. She's seen more Black Mirror than me. I think it's great. Almost every episode is worth watching. There's some episodes that literally will piss you off, which I guess is probably good. It's probably good that, something like motivates you that way enough. There's been a couple episodes that just. Did I tell you about that episode, that astronaut episode of I think it was Black Mirror. That astronaut episode that has who's the kid that disappeared off the face of the earth after he did Pearl Harbor. Josh Hartnett and the kid from and the guy from Breaking Bad. The kid, I never watched Breaking Bad, but he's the kid from Breaking Bad. Did I talk about that episode? Uh-oh, Chungo! What the hell does that mean? Chungo. That episode was... I know I talked about it on my live feed. That episode proves that people in Hollywood are from a different planet than I am. Because that episode went completely sideways in a direction that I never would have dreamed to have written it in. Got me one of those astronauts episode where their bodies. Yep, that's the one. That proves that people that make movies are just fucked up. There is no way in hell I would have even conceived of that. It totally would have been revenge, because I think revenge is a good motive, but like sick and twisted. Going after people that have done no wrong is just, that's like axe murderer shit. Like, I'm all for going after people that like hurt other folks, that have it coming to them, but for no reason, what that guy did, I'm like. And if I was an actor, I'd be like, you want this character to do what? Somebody else is playing him. I ain't doing this shit. Well, why not? Because I got to sleep at night. That's just wrong. I'd make a terrible actor. I'd have a moral code. An actor with a moral code. You got to find another line of work, pal. But it's make-believe. Yeah, but I think some of this stuff triggers people. It doesn't trigger people like me, but it doesn't trigger most people. But some people, there's some folks that are sitting on the edge of going off a slippery slope. You forgot what happened in the episode? Okay. All right. Spoiler alert. It's worth watching. Every episode of my favorite episode of Black Mirror, by far, it is not even close, is White Bear. I believe it's season 3. That is a superb episode. But what I do like about the show as a whole is almost every episode you find yourself thinking. You find yourself thinking almost to the extent that season one of Stranger Things was. You know, you have to you're figuring things out at the same time that characters are figuring things out. And I like that. I like programming that does that. So you're not just like, you know, like a zombie. I don't enjoy being a zombie. But basically, the episode starts off with, and if you've never seen Black Mirror, every episode of Black Mirror has one thing in common, and there's this undercurrent that there's this technology. The technology in the wrong hands is really bad, or it could be really bad. It can have really bad unintended consequences. You know, maybe it's made for good reason, but it ends up being bad. Like there was one episode, for instance, that starts off with a lady who's and it's like almost all of them are done in what you would call present day, but something happened where there's this technology that doesn't exist right now. So it's not like there's a couple episodes that take part in other periods, but for the most part, 90% of them are done like in the 20th century, the 21st century, the late 20th century or the 21st century. There's this one episode, for instance, this lady, she's a single mother, and she has this kid. She's like a kid that's like 2 or 3 years old, and she's at a park, and she's talking with another parent there, and the kid's playing in the playground and sees a cat. So the kid goes and follows the cat, and you think something horrible is going to happen, and nothing horrible actually happens. The mother just loses track of the kid, and then freaks out, and oh my, where's my child or whatever, and then a minute or two goes by and she finds the kid and the kid's fine, everything. But it made her realize that, she almost lost her kid. So it cuts to another scene and she's in this bureau of something or another where there's this device, there's this state-of-the-art technology where you can put an implant in your kid's head and you can see what they're seeing through an iPad. And then the rest of the episode deals with that. So almost every episode is something like that. It's like in present day, but there's something that goes in the future. Well, this particular astronaut episode, it made me so angry. It made me angry because it made me think that there's some sick people out there. And there are some sick people out there, and you forget that they're out there. But anyway, so I know it is just a movie, but or a show. But so there's this episode that takes place in the 1960s, and it's just alternate reality of the space stuff, right? So there's these two astronauts that go on this mission, and it's a mission that's going to be for a while, and they're like in this Skylab type thing. And the technology that they have is basically you have these two astronauts that go up there, but they're gone so long from their family, they've developed this technology where there is an android version of themselves that they leave on Earth. And when they go to sleep, there's this special, there's two guys and they take turns. So when one guy's awake, the other guy's asleep. And they sit in this special bed, and I forget exactly how it works. And when they go night-night, they're sleeping, but their consciousness goes to this android that they can use the android to spend time with their family. And the android, of course, looks exactly like them. I mean, it is them playing the android, right? Pretty harmless, right? Good technology. So you have these two astronauts and they take turns. And this is like the late 1960s when this happens. So I guess, I don't know if there was a moon landing or whatever, but it's irrelevant. One of the characters, played by Josh Hartnett, was one of the characters is like from the country, and he moved. He was from the city. He moved to the country, and then Josh Hartnett lives in like this big house in like Hollywood or some Hollywood type place like that. So he goes to sleep one night, And he wakes up and he's spending time with his wife. They'd gone to the theater or something like that. They come home, they go to bed, and they're getting frisky or whatever. And in the middle of the night, they hear some intruders in his house. And sorry for the spoiler, but hey, it's something to talk about. And they have these intruders in the house, and these guys break into his house. Remember, this is like 1967, 68, 69. And this gang of thugs is basically like the Manson killers. And they go in and basically say, hey, listen, I know what you are. Like, they had figured out that he basically was doing something unnatural, going and living a double life or whatever. So what they did is they tied him up, and they got into a fight with him. They broke into his house. He couldn't fight them off or whatever. Let me go ahead and close this door here. They end up tying him up and bring his family in front of him and kill his family in front of the Josh Hartnett's android, right? And there's nothing you can do about it because he's tied up. And then they go about destroying him as his android body. So now you've got this astronaut that is basically perpetually in space and can't ever get it, until their mission's over, obviously. But it sounds like it's like a 4 or 5 year mission or something like that. The other astronaut hears about it through the news or whatever. And he's like, oh man, that really sucks or whatever. He ends up, when he's going back to the Earth, the other guy's wife was suggesting, maybe he wants to use your body, to basically, because he's stuck up there. And the other guy, I don't know if this is a good idea, whatever. So anyway, he gets convinced by his wife, by the other guy's wife, to use his body to get some relief, because otherwise he's basically up there perpetually, being tortured by, in a cell, basically a prison, right? For whatever the sentence of the space mission is. So that's about a third of the way through the show, of the length of the show, maybe halfway through the show. So I'm already thinking, I know how this is going to go, right? He's going to use the other guy's body. He's going to go and get revenge and find those people. Okay, because those people, you hear that they basically murdered his family and murdered him because it was unnatural. And then they turned themselves in. So he's going to go on a vigilante thing, because that's how I would write it. Okay, because innocent people, if they get killed, there's going to be payback, right? Not at all, because people in Hollywood are on drugs and are demented. So what it ends up turning into is he ends up making multiple trips down there and hitting on the other guy's wife. So the guy who gave the idea of using his body to get some relief ends up trying to have relations with the other guy's wife. Now, the cool thing about it is the other wife said no. Like, I don't want to have anything to do with this. I'm loyal to my husband. You get out of here, get out of this house or whatever. So then towards the end of the episode, there's this thing that you notice that he was Josh Hartnett's character was an artist, and he went in on one of the trips where he was down. The other astronaut was like, he finds all these drawings that he had been doing in space of the other guy's wife, and he's like, this guy's drawing all these like semi-nude pictures of my wife. Something's going on, and really, to the wife's credit, nothing really had been going on. But anyhow. So he confronts the guy. Hey, I know you were doing all right. No, none of that really happened. That's it. You're not using my body anymore. I'm not letting you do it. Because you needed like a special card. Basically, there was like a card, almost like a tag, a dog tag you would do, and you put it in there, and you that would allow you to interact with the body. Right? You had to use the right card. You had to use the card of, like, you would have to use my card to get in my body, kind of thing. So there's this part where they go on this mission, and basically it was time for the one astronaut to go outside and weld on something, and the other one ends up shutting the door on him. He leaves him out in the airlock, and I'm like, oh, he's going to kill the guy. And no, he went and, he couldn't find him. Hey, let me in, whatever. He goes and, like, why wouldn't you let me in? And the other guy figured out what happened. And he had gone one last time. He had taken his card, gone down back to Earth. And what he had done is he went and murdered his whole family. He murdered the other astronaut's family that had given him. And then he came back and it's like, well, how do you like it now? Now you don't have a family either. And it's like, that's how it ends. And I'm like, what kind of a sick, demented fuck comes up with that? That's like. So I saved you the trouble of having to watch that episode. But it does make you think, but it's like, man, why would you do that? That's like, these people were gracious to you and you like murdered them. And especially somebody who had their own family murdered. Like if you have your own family murdered innocently, the first thing you're going to do is pay the people that did you wrong back. The last thing you're going to do is go after another innocent person and murder their family. I don't know. It just kind of, it hit a chord with me like, what's wrong with these people? But anyhow, we'll skip that episode. It was a very weird, no wonder this country's going to hell, or this world is going to hell, that people think like that's just like not even an option. Anyhow, stupid show. But most of the episodes are actually pretty cool. And they're thought-provoking. That was in the last season. I'm like, oh, there's new episodes. And the first one back is out one. I'm like, what the hell? And then there's one episode. There's a standalone episode of Black Mirror called Bandersnatch, which sounds like a really bad porn movie. But it's not. It's actually got nothing to do. It's named after a video game. And what's unique about that one is it has this ability while you're watching it to, press this if you want the character to do this, press this if you want the character to do that. A choose your own adventure within a TV show. And there have actually been other TV shows that do that. And I'm telling you, if there was more of that, I'd watch more television. The show's not really, that one episode is not really worth watching because the plot's kind of weak, if I remember it correctly. But it is unique in that it allows you to do that. There's a couple of other TV programs that actually do that. They're on Netflix. There's like a romantic comedy I watched with my wife, and we really enjoyed it because it was like, you could like see, what the, you could make different choices and stuff like that. I wish, and it's like in one episode, you probably had 16 different choices to make. It wasn't like at the end do one this or do the other one. So it was kind of cool. It kept your attention. I wish there was more of that on television instead of you sitting there like a zombie waiting for things to happen. That was a long monologue. Think your girlfriend, watch that romantic comedy. It's cool. I wish there was. It's a pain to make though. I mean, I know it's a pain to make. Some programming, is just, it's just a moneymaker for them. And, we want to see a good programming, but the people that make stuff, they just want a quick buck. Like, remember that old movie Memento? That is an awesome movie the way it was. After you're watching it, first you're like, man, they went through a ton of effort doing this. No wonder there's no other movie like this. That was really cool, the way it played backwards. But no wonder they didn't do that. That's a lot of effort. Okay. Get what man, it's early. That's what happens when you start early. All right, now it's the time to do more drilling. So where is the antennas on this big Nazi tank? So we're going to do a search for king, tiger, antennas. Antennas. I suspect one's on the turret. I got to go to little boy's room. I'll be right back. I'm pretty sure that one of them is right here in the roof. So let's find out where they are. And there is one sometimes on the turret deck, but sometimes that's if it's a super command one. And a lot of people don't put antennas on the tanks, but man, I think it looks a heck of a lot better. It gives it some three dimensionality to it. Yes, I make up my own words. Wow, here's some great freaking photos on here. There's great stuff on Pinterest. Oh, this is a cool man. If you want to figure out how to, here's a bunch of king tigers of Ardennes, and off to the side here, it tells you the breakdown of all the tanks and what turret number colors they had. Man, I want to do more king tigers just based on that. Down here in the corner. So 007 looks like it was the command tank. 008, 009, non-standard numbering system. But we had some green numbers, some red ones. Cool. No, mine are no particular unit. All right. I'm going to look in the Tamiya kit. I'm going to go to ScaleMates, and I'm going to see where the antennas are in the Tamiya kit. I don't have any reference. Actually, I do. I got one reference material from Berlinden, which used to be the gold standard of And according to this one, the antenna's back here in this hole. But I see a couple little holes also could be, so it'd be this hole right back there. Now, let's make sure that's consistent with other stuff, because we don't want to have a discovery later on and go, man, I wish I would have known that. So let's go look at some 1/35th scale models on ScaleMates. King Tiger. Why do you not spell it correctly? Well, that's a creative way to spell it. King Tiger. All right, and we want to look at 1/35th scale models. Let's go to the Tamiya one, usually because their instructions are super clear. King Tiger production turret. That's what we're looking for. Let's look at the instructions. Yeah, it looks like the antenna's back here. Okay, well, the good news about that is there was already kind of a hole started. Even though it's not of that size. Let's get the wire out here. And I don't know that I'm going to find a bristle of this size. It'd be nice if I could find a nylon bristle that's black. That'd be ideal. Make sure this fits in that hole already. Wow, it goes really deep. Okay. All right, so how tall do we want this thing to be? I want it to be twice as tall as the turret. So whatever height you have from here to the turret, I want it that height again. So maybe like so. All right, and then we're going to take our old clippers that aren't worth a shit. That's what we use them for this. And we'll make another one that same length. And then we will epoxy this down so you don't have to worry about it breaking. Okay, and that's the spare that we're going to have. Okay, in the interest of safety, we're going to do this treatment to the end so we don't draw blood. Oh, I see. It goes all the way through to... Came out of the tank. Yeah, it's going all the way there. Well, we don't want that. All right, let's mix a tiny little bit of epoxy up. And let's put it on something disposable. So one thing that scenario has, if I'm going to build the stuff for it, it's got a church. I don't have a church. So, got to go get a church. Got to go get a 3D printed church. And there's only 1,000,000 to choose from. There's a bunch of trees. I got plenty of trees. But what I like it is it's made specifically for this rule set. With winning conditions, it supposedly makes sense for this rule set. All right, so let's run quite a bit of the end because some of this is going to go inside. And if it's a little taller than it needs to be, then I'm not worried about it. We can adjust that. I want to make sure it doesn't drop through like this. I don't know what I drilled it and it must have... Oh, I see. There's nothing below it. It's hollow because this is a cheap-ass model. I thought it was catching on the inside of this, but that's not the case. Cheap-ass model. Okay. We're going to let that sit there. We're probably going to end up trimming some of it off. But I need this to set a little bit before I can adjust it. Now, late war stuff that I got left, we've got this. I haven't been motivated to do the half tracks. We've got this little Hetzer that's been sitting over here. And unfortunately, I like how it turned out, but I did it wrong. Because it really should be a base of this rust brown, of this rust color. And instead what I did was I based it the same color as this and added the rust and the green as a camouflage. But I think I'm going to leave it as it is because I think it's going to look pretty cool. And this is an old, the Eschi model, but it's actually rebranded by Italeri. And the front of this was a royal pain in the ass to build, and it still didn't turn out right. It looks like it's run into something it shouldn't have been, like somebody was a drunk driver, you know. And then we got 3 German half tracks also waiting in the wings. We got a Panzer IV-H here, which technically has to be before one of the early ones because otherwise it'd have Zimmerit on it, and this one doesn't. It's a beautiful model by Revell, but this is just a green camo on it, on the Dunkelgelb base. And it actually has its mufflers up out here. So that's rusty as shit, that little piece on there. Actually has 2. I don't know exactly what this is. I think it might be like an air filter or something like that. But this is a device that gets really rusty as well, along with the muffler in the back. So we removed one of the pieces of shirts on purpose, give it a little bit of personality, and then didn't put one back here also. Harder to get motivated for the train. Just, it's a scare factor, you know. Yeah, so I gotta build a church. I gotta get a Norman church. Oh darn. But that has it has all 4 Shermans on the board, and then there are 3 Panthers with a surprise on the board, and a couple others can appear. So, but it's actually a 7, It's a 6x7 table. That's pretty big. That's a lot of real estate. It still represents an area. It's like 175 meters by like 150. So it's still a very condensed area. So. All right. So what are we going to do? We can't do the bricks because we have the decals coming for them. We're going to do them right. Do them right. Let's hets are going to hets. It's already got a wash on it, right? Let's see. Yes. Yep. Hets are going to hets. This is the base Dunkelgelb. Get a dry brushing brush. One that's not too expensive. One that hasn't been abused. Good luck. These are all hard as shit. Thought I cleaned all these things. Maybe I didn't. This one's good. Let's get almost all of this color off. Now, this particular model has some really good detail on the actual model. However, yeah, you knew I was going to go there with that. However, whatever plastic this thing was made out of welded too easily with the weld cement. Almost like it was melting it. It's just a plastic that just behaved totally different. So we're going to get to hit the edges here. All right, this road wheel is kind of loose. But at least it came with separate link track. Thank you. I was watching a building video the other day by somebody, what is it? Night Shift. He was doing like a French little building. It even had like an advertising on it. And again, it looks better than a real building. However, he made it look so realistic that a lot of the details would get lost at 3 feet away. It would just end up being like a blur. So that's not really the look that I want to go with. You know, it's a little different. He's doing a 1/35th scale. It looked better than a real building. This fades this out just a little bit. Yeah, this thing actually has a lot of detail on it. A cute little thing. And yet the machine gun it comes with almost looks like a spear gun from Thunderball. All right. So the next thing we need to do is we need to paint the track on this thing. Okay, so we're going to get our track color out here and road wheels and shit like that. So we're going to paint our track. We have some flow aid there. Never built a Hetzer before. Never built a King Tiger before. These are all Noble Knight vehicles that they had. Battle Honors. What a couple of those are really unaffordable for those of us in the States. It's the shipping that kills it. Forget the exchange rate. The exchange rate is reasonable. It's the shipping is, minimum shipping of like $30 or something. Like, no. And I don't know that I'm going to buy another model from the guy that I got my one building from, because it's not resin. It's the other thing, and you can see kind of the lines on it. I think the building that I got will probably paint fine, but there's better options out there, I think. FDM or whatever the hell it's called. But I don't really care how much it costs. I'm not going to print my own. We're not going that way. I don't have the personality, for dealing with the disappointment that the learning curve of 3D printing is going to be. And it's not even the cost of the printer. It's not the cost of the resin. It's you think you're gonna get a good print when you get home from work, so you can work on it, and then you find out that it actually didn't print at all. I just don't have the personality for that kind of stuff. I don't have the personality for that kind of disappointment in the hobby. There's nothing I can do about it. It happens to everybody. We should team up on a purchase. Yeah, but then we got to split it off to you and me. For those lines, heard some people use a thicker car primer. It's not too bad. It's not too bad, but let me show you one of the issues that I have with it. I know it'll come out fine, but you can't tell that it's this kind of a print when you're trying to buy it online. If you look at the supports here of the window, you can tell that it's even jagged here. It jags over. Now, it'll end up being fine, but you can tell there's a bunch of little vertical lines here. I'm sure it'll be fine. You won't be able to tell it on this. I'm probably going to do something along the lines of that on the brickwork, and that'll probably take care of most of it. Or maybe not. The fact that there's a pattern on the floor, I think is actually advantageous, because it's going to be a wooden floor painted. The detail on it's pretty good. It has kind of that undertone of the lines. So, and this is why you have house inspection, folks. So you don't build the access to your second floor right above the doorway. That's a design flaw. But it looks pretty good. I'm gonna paint a big advertising here. Now that I got some pointers from what's his face. So I guess I should probably paint it and see how it turns out. But I don't want to get sidetracked. I need to get a church for that scenario. I mean, I know I could probably just use this and just use that instead of that, but it calls for a friggin' church. We'll see. Okay, where were we? Painting the tracks. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be happy with how that building turns out. It's just, I got to buy one. I might as well, take everything into consideration. There's another company. The most affordable one out there is this company called Patrick Miniatures, because this shipping is really reasonable. This one's not bad. These guys are out of Texas. Hey, Hoffman, you go straighten their ass out in Texas. Forget where exactly in Texas they are, but the shipping was reasonable. Got to me pretty quick. I just want to see if there's other stuff out there. But Badger 3D, Battlefield 3D, both of those are English. Both of their vehicles look really good. But son of a biscuit eater. There we go. But I'll be damned if it doesn't cost a fortune to ship it. I mean, the shipping literally would cost more than one of whatever. There's a website for wargaming 3D printing stuff. Oh, there's probably several of them. Yeah, the Stalingrad set from Patrick, good, but a lot of lines. Might have to redo some of them at some point with some plaster. Sanding won't do it. Okay. Well, that's not evident on his pictures. It'll get better. I mean, it's still kind of in its infancy. Patrick's pricing is spot on, though, but, if you end up having to do a lot of work to something, it's like what I said is that, if you're going to buy an airbrush, don't buy a $30 airbrush, because you're basically saving money on an airbrush and you're creating more problems for yourself. So unless you think you work for free and your time isn't worth anything and you get a thrill being frustrated, just spend spend $150 and you can get an airbrush that you won't have any problems with. Although my next airbrush challenge is going to be how to get eensy beensy little lines, because I've got some Maltiers that I want to do some spaghetti type camo on them. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen it. So now I think I've got some basic airbrushing skills down pretty well. Now I can learn some advanced stuff and experiment, because it is a whole lot of experimentation. But at least have a nice airbrush area. The temperature's comfortable there. You guys can go out there with me. That's great right there. Don't get me wrong, it's still good. Well, which way is it, man? Is this stuff suck or Hey, he does a better job 3D printing than I would. I'll tell you what. There's one guy that I follow, and I'm actually surprised that a couple people that I follow are sponsored by certain stuff, right? And I don't want free shit, because I don't want somebody taking the freedom of me painting whatever the hell I want to next. Just like I just did this. Like, man, fuck it, let's do the Hetzer next, right? That's what I feel like doing. I don't want somebody saying, oh, I sent you over a Sherman, you're doing that next. Well, maybe I don't want to, But, so I'm not interested in being sponsored by anybody, because I don't want somebody dictating what I'm doing next. However, because of shipping costs, sure would be nice if somebody decided to send me a bunch of 3D printed stuff that look really nice and I paint them for them. I get to keep them, but then you can put them on your website, and people can see how good your stuff could look. But I'm not actively seeking things like that. I got lots of stuff to work on. I don't want to be sponsored by somebody, because if their stuff starts going sideways, I want to tell you, hey, these guys suck now, and I can't do that if you're giving me free crap. So I'd rather not take your free stuff and be able to tell you honestly what I think about it. Not because I want to put you out of business, but so you can do better. Especially like a company that's maybe made some really good products, but decided to start cutting a bunch of corners and make shoddy workmanship things and think they can get away with it. Nope. You guys knew how to do it, and then you went into zombie mode. And a lot of the stuff you wonder, does the roof come off? Because I don't really want to make a destroyed church, because that's like more work than a real one. But I went over a little bit, but that's going to get dry brushed over, so I can sleep at night based on that. A little bit of track showing there. Can't see any there. This is probably one of the most difficult models I had to put together. SG models just don't fit well. They really don't. They really don't. They're the opposite of Plastic Soldier Company. S model fit like a glove. The trumpeter fit really well. Oh, there's no challenge in building the models. Some of us don't need a challenge. Some of us are challenged enough at work. We're doing this so that we don't turn into a crazy person. Okay? So. And I don't mind the option of putting extra details on it. But when that's very different than, you better do this or it won't even fit together. Come on. I needed to wait for this to get a little hard so that it has some resistance and stay in place. Okay, did I push it too far? I may have pushed it too far. I think we can make that work. We just need to trim that down. Okay. Yeah, look how difficult it was to put the front end. Looks like it's skidding around a corner. And that was the other thing, is this stuff it was melting in my hand. How did this get all this black shit on it? Well, we're going to weather that and you won't be able to tell. Okay. All right. Let's go grab the decals. No, I don't say it that way. And let's see how old these are. This is a rebranded Italeri, so we should be okay. grab the instructions too of this little guy. Get this. Nope, that's the Hummel. I'm gonna have to pull every single thing out, aren't I? All right, let's leave these here. Let's move this out of here. It came with a decal set, and I want to use it for this one because if I don't use it on this one, what am I going to use it on? I mean, this one gets first dibs. It's none of those. It's not this. It's not those little numbers, which I haven't even used. Probably means I shouldn't have gotten them, but really, really small numbers. That's the Hummel one. Here it is. It's this one right here. Jagdpanzer 38T. I have a 224 in red. I don't think the red's going to work. I think there's not going to be enough contrast. This is like a free Polish something or another. Printed by Zanchetti Bukinasco. Great day in the morning. Budinasto. All right. Let's find the instruction sheet here. Nope, 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 nope. It's my favorite game. It's the Nope game. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Here it is. Unknown Panzerjäger unit with a 224. Well, the problem is I don't think it's going to pop very much. Captured by the Polish insurgents. We're not doing that. 94th Infantry Division in Italy has like this cross sword symbol. That's interesting. And it has a little Balkan cross all the way back here. That's cute. Okay, so we're going to use this one for the crosses. What's 2A? Has an informational panel there. Okay, I like how that is on here. What's this 224? Oh, I see. If you put the 224... Well, let's use the 224 decal. It should be all right. It should be all right. If I don't like it, I'll just take it off. All right, let's go ahead and paint up those areas that get. Sent me a shot of the Patrick Building. All right, I got to take a look at that. Let me paint these spots and then we'll take a look at it. Just for good measure, let's not use that. Let's use one that's got a little bit more. It's a little bit more robust. And here's the reason why. Is that I may change where this goes. So we're going to put this little spot back here. We can put a little Balkan cross if we feel like it. Okay. I'm going to cover this entire side with gloss. I don't know where it's going to go. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And then we might want a unit symbol, so we'll put some gloss there. All that disappears when you end up clear coating it, dull coating it. That's it. Okay? All right, let's look at that, whatever you sent me. Oh, it's the department store. Oh, yeah. Oh, man, that's... You know, I'd be scared of painting something like that because you got to fill it with rubble. Yeah, that's a department store, right? Talk about a sniper's perch. Talk about a sniper's perch. Yeah, I need to do a Yak Panther soon, but we're doing some Germans, then we're going to leave the Germans. Germans need somebody to fight too. This isn't the Wearaboo channel. Other people's stuff is cool too. Oh man, we still got water from yesterday. Perfect. Where do you sell miniature pictures at? No, on Facebook Messenger. See, Facebook is good. You don't have to. We just shared something and we didn't even have didn't even get into an argument. Argument is for people that need a hobby. Literally. While I'm waiting for this, I'm actually going to go ahead and do a picture search for Hetzers. Okay, so I'm going to do Hetzer, scheme, Hetzer, paint, scheme, images, this is an early production one, and it has a cross right by the number. And this number is red. Is it solid red or red with white outlines? I like the, oh, well, here we go. This is the back of the box, and it has the 224 on a rust color. So if it's noticeable there, it should be able to work fine on this. And this is what I'm impatient about. You dry yet? Let's go ahead and take the 224s. The small Balkan cross that goes on the back. I don't know if that's going to work, but we'll attempt it. And then the two big ones that go on the side. And now we'll take my impossible to replace tweezers because I'm not spending $50 on the damn things. gotten to the point where I'll even paint German crosses. I'll even paint the numbers. It's just like, if I don't use these decals, what the hell do I have decals for? Do you have a group on Facebook Messenger? I have a Messenger, just don't get it on the Facebook app itself. No, it's on the, just send a friend-to-friend link. It's, I think it's really useful for that. All right, and we're going to put the number in front, the cross behind. And hopefully that the numbers don't explode. I rarely get on Facebook. No groups. Feel free to connect through me, though. You've got my name. Yeah, it's really useful for that, even if you don't go on there. Twitter's the one I don't like. I'm not really a big fan of Instagram. Too difficult to use. Not every picture's square. You know? Your picture's got to be square. Well, sometimes the picture isn't square. Probably making a boo-boo. Not painting the wheels first. Hopefully I won't touch one of these decals and fuck it up, but it's late. I'm not paying attention. All right. Let me make sure these had... Well, I don't have to do it exactly the way they show it. It just, the nice thing is that it'll show you what it looks like. So you can like, oh, I like how that looks. Or maybe you don't like how it looks. Before you go and attempt it yourself. Yeah, some even have a little cross down here. I think having it on both places is probably a bit much. Yeah, that one has the number up front. All right, we're going to put the number up front. Let's get the wacky liquid here. Like between the first two tires. Yeah, like that. Yeah, the one thing I hate is email. Because email you too many times, people don't pay attention. They don't reply to the latest thing. And it's just like, that's just like more work frustration. And I rarely checked it. The other day I checked that. I noticed I had 2,000 emails that I hadn't looked at. Okay, I'm not going to dab that one yet because I need to see what this big cross next to this looks like. So, and then we'll take, I want this number to be even with the cross. Having it any other way is just creates chaos. So let's bring it down. it's even with it. Looks like these decals are just fine. Hets are gonna hets. There's a little bit more space here. And it's because this number is a little bit further back on this side. I think there's enough contrast there. All right, and then we're going to do, I don't know if this is going to work out. It's kind of a congested little area. But we're able to put it somewhere where it's not over a little rivet. So that's good. I'm not going to put a unit symbol on it. That looks pretty good. You take a photo of it and then show you the photo. Always works out better that way. Remember, we don't have any black lining or anything on this. It's going to look glossy. But all that'll disappear. I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. And I'm the guy that's never happy. All right. Let's go put this away. And let's get the road wheels painted. It's a cute little vehicle. Cute little bastard. Cute little Nazi bastard. Yeah, I'm not making a vehicle that's captured by the poles. Not that I have a problem with them capturing it. I'm just like, if you have one Hetzer, it shouldn't be like the exception. It'd be like having one KV, and you end up getting a KV that got captured and got sent to Malta for the invasion. I'm like, okay, that's the exception to the rule right there. That's like, you got a weird exception, and that's what you're using as your first vehicle. It's like if you start painting T-34s and you start making them all camouflage before we have any T-34s that are just green. It just doesn't make any sense. In my world, that doesn't fly. This little rim is not very big on this. Well, we'll get there. Yeah, when I went to that train shop in New York City, he had a couple of Stugs there from Armor Fast. I didn't pick them up. I didn't need any more Stugs at that time. But I'm on the lookout for some Plastic Soldier Company, not some Plastic Soldier Company, some Armor Fast M10s. But I got to make sure they have a breech, otherwise I just create a shitload of work for myself. Got to run to Wally World. Have a good night. Okay. Careful at Wally World. Think about Wally World. You step into Wally World, you're like a freaking movie star. There is some scary looking folks there. Try to read before you fade. Okay, man. Thanks for coming by. I'm gonna do these little wheels, and I'm gonna shut down for the night too. Well, I'm gonna nah. I gotta paint that stuff afterwards because the next step is gonna be weathering. Although I'm gonna go ahead and paint this machine gun that looks like no machine gun. Remote controlled machine gun and the roof. Yeah, this thing looked like a carnival when I first did it, but I knew that just giving it that little bit of dry brushing of the base color softens all those lines, makes it look more believable. Okay, flip the other side. And sometimes I wonder if this is even worth doing it, because by the time you end up doing the dry brush, you end up covering all this stuff up. Anyways. Man, my stomach is just out of control, making all kinds of gurgling sounds. Makes it sound like, man, I better hurry and put on some diapers. Not that kind of show, folks. The creaky ass freaking cave tour. Well, still better than that one day last week or the week before that I didn't get online because I was under the weather. I had a runny nose that was driving me freaking crazy. Lasted about 3 days. And it just sorted itself out. I didn't really want to be online going. Make sure we get it from A's. Major angles. We don't want that thing like poking you in the face. It looks like a... What's this? Is this a little block? There's no jack here? Wow, a German vehicle with no jack. It's the one. All right, folks. Well, thanks for stopping by for 3 hours. That's not bad on a work night. All right, folks. This is where we got the little Hetzer on here, and we got these guys. Pretty much almost done, nearly done. All right, we'll see you guys on the next